Welcome to the garden in January. It's mostly covered up here today, but I thought I would just make a quick tour. It's kind of cool to see, especially the greenhouse, even though things are mostly dead even in there. I've had some issues with snow. It doesn't necessarily slide off, it kind of gathers because the plastic is a little too loose and it's difficult to tighten it when it's so cold. So I've had to remove snow from it a lot, but it's actually turned out pretty okay. The plastic is very strong. So let's take a look inside. It's very messy in here because we've cleaned the shed, and so we're keeping a lot of like trash in here, unfortunately. This is my bokashi mixture. There seem to be some mice living in there. The mice have been kind of a problem. I had this perennial cabbage and they've just eaten it. I had a couple of it and they're completely eaten up. It's a type called homesteader. It's a perennial cabbage. So we'll see if they recover. I guess the leaves, maybe it doesn't matter, but they've like eaten off the base layer as well, completely. This one is... So we'll see. This is the only place where I've sowed anything so far, but it's still January, and so this is spinach. Realistically, spinach might start growing at around 5 degrees plus, and it's still minus here most of the time. So that's a little optimistic, and I think it'll probably also be eaten by the mice, but maybe we'll get something. So there's mostly spinach and then some dill and broccoli sprouts as well. So the idea is that probably, especially in the early spring, I'm expecting that a lot of the stuff growing here will be eaten by mice, at least the edible stuff. So what I'm hoping is that I'll be using these plastic boxes. I don't have any in here now, they're in the shed. But I will be sewing stuff in the plastic boxes like I've done before. Before I've just had the plastic boxes standing outside, and this year I'll be keeping them in the greenhouse, so I'll have to clean up here a bit. And then I'll also try hanging some platforms from the ceiling here, and then putting some of the trays and pots on them. I think that will be a good solution. And maybe also the shelves. If I remove some of the stuff, some of this mess, maybe the shelves will also be an okay place. So we'll see. at one point this winter, I hadn't been here in quite a while, and the snow, especially here, was weighing so heavy on the plastic that it detached there. But at least, like, then I could just reattach it. It would have been a lot worse if the plastic had torn. But so I'm super happy with the quality of that. And the metal didn't bend or anything, even though the weight was quite a lot. So I think I would maybe feel a bit happier about the situation in here if I had cleaned up a little bit, so I'll probably try to spend some time on that as soon as it gets a little bit warmer outside, because it's still so cold here that I don't really want to like hang out here so much. Before the snow came, I was quite worried that the snow sliding off the greenhouse onto here would pile up quite a lot, but I've really only shoveled 2 times this winter, and it's just fine. So far at least. So I don't think that will be a big issue. Even on the other side, it's not really pushing in on the greenhouse at all. My sister built this compost, and a little bit me as well, this summer. We filled it up several times, and it's compacted quite a bit now. So now I would say it's at about like a little over half. So I'm very curious to see how that'll be in the spring, if anything has happened down there. It's very cold outside, so maybe we can take a trip inside and look at some of the plans for next year. Okay, so this is the plan for 2023. I've kind of sketched the garden here. It's not quite to scale, but here's the greenhouse. And here are the 3 long frames and the big one. And then this is one of the like built up beds. And then I have 2 small frames here. And so some of this stuff has perennial things growing. So this one has perennial herbs. So that'll still be herbs growing there. And this one has perennial flowers, non-edible flowers. So they will mostly stay. And then last year I had Jerusalem artichokes growing in this bed. I will probably continue to have Jerusalem artichokes in this bed, but I will also grow some squash. I think maybe the squash can grow around the Jerusalem artichokes. And then earlier in the spring, because squash will go out quite late, and the Jerusalem artichokes take some time to start sprouting after they've been planted, because you plant like the bulbs. So this bed I can use early in the spring for lettuce and spinach, and they can also grow together with these other things, at least in kind of the overlap period in like June. So any kind of like fast growing green stuff, leaves, can grow there. And then I'm hoping to be able to dedicate a whole bed to flowers. I want to grow them in kind of like a systematic way. So maybe some sunflowers and other kind of big flowers. So last year I grew Jerusalem artichokes in this bed, together with some various other stuff like some cauliflower and stuff like that. This whole bed was just like brassica, so cauliflower and some cabbage and broccoli. and that worked very well. So I want to do kind of at least like some cauliflower or broccoli. I want to try again, maybe broccoli instead, but I will have that in this bed instead. So this will be some kind of, we'll see what I feel like and what seeds I have, but some kind of brassica and chard. And that will kind of take up this thing the entire year because they can go out quite early. Usually the brassica are the plants that I put outside first, like of the plants that I grow inside and then move out. These are the most hardy. And then this big bed is kind of an issue. I made it last year, a year ago, and then I filled it up with a lot of sticks in the bottom and some compost and various other stuff, and then just some dirt on top. But I hadn't properly choked out the grass in the bottom, so really a lot of weeds came through. Plus I also just grew wildflowers in it, so it was really difficult to weed because I just mixed everything together, and also because of the sticks in the bottom it's very difficult to dig it. So I need to think of something clever, and I think what I'll do is grow potatoes here because they tend to choke out a lot of the other stuff. So I think that might be the way to go. And then this frame has some perennial stuff, so it has wild strawberries and asparagus and some allium, like leafy onion type plants. So those are all like perennial edible stuff. So I'll just write plus plus. So that'll stay the same as last year. And then another question is this frame. So this was kind of the same situation as this one, where I just planted lots of flowers and it went kind of crazy, and now I have a weed problem. So I think I'll leave this as kind of my buffer thing. I'll maybe place some newspapers to choke out some of the weeds and fill up with some new soil. We'll see. But I always sow too many things, so maybe this is kind of like some extra space if I need it. And then finally, the last spot is the greenhouse. So the plan for the greenhouse is to make one big frame on this entire side here, and then have more like pots and movable stuff on the other side. And what I want to grow this year is some physalis, those little orange fruits with like paper around. And then I want to grow a cucumber. And I think that's all I'm going to plan on, and then I'm sure many other things will pop up. And I'll also have used the greenhouse to like as kind of a nursery to grow some, like of course all of the things that I will be moving out, so probably the squash will be living in there at some point, and the brassicas will be living in there, and I'll have like lots of herbs and stuff growing, and strawberries, but the focus, I want to kind of keep the focus very focused and not have so many different plants. I think I had too many different plants this year. So physalis and cucumber will be the main focus in there. So I think that's it. This year my focus was on the cauliflower, and I tried to not have too many other things going on, so I had potatoes here, and then just like the wildflowers here, and this one was I didn't make this one before like kind of late in the summer, I think, or spring. So yeah, I'm trying to keep the main focus on these three, and now like expanding to this, and then not expand too much each year. This year I had 2 frames here, but those I will be moving. I don't know exactly where, but because it just isn't very practical to have them there. And then instead I think I will be planting some kind of tree here, like a small fruit tree. Yeah, so that will be moved around a bit.